Welcome to Bosnia. This is the Island of Freedom.
These are favorite girls, or my favorite. I have been volunteering, and now they keep coming, so I really appreciate it. So my name is Dr. Semir Osmanagic, and 16 years ago I discovered the Bosnian Pyramids. And 25 years before that, I had been researching the pyramids around the world and ancient civilizations. And I concluded that almost everything they teach us about the ancient history and the pyramids was wrong. They tell us that pyramids were built in Egypt and Mexico. Wrong. They are built on all 6 continents. Tell us that Egyptian pyramids were built as tombs for the pharaohs. Wrong. 155 pyramids in Egypt. Not 118 like non-scientific Wikipedia is claiming. 155, because I have visited and investigated all of them. Not a single mummy was discovered in the pyramids. The mummies of the pharaohs have been buried in the Valley of Kings, which is 300 kilometers to the south, next to the Luxor. For example, King Tutankhamun, his mummy was discovered there. Ramses, the first, the second, third, fourth, and the 12th, they were all there. So we really need to ask the real question: who built the pyramids? How, when, and why? And that's what we've been trying to answer here for the last 16 years. My PhD is about the Mayan Pyramids in the countries of Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize, and Mexico. More than 100,000 pyramids over there. Not a few dozens, more than 100,000. And all of them, at least 97% of them, are covered by soil vegetation. They are in jungles, they are in forests. In China, 250 pyramids in central province of Shanxi, all covered by soil. And the forest had been planted back in 1967 by the Chinese government. They wanted to hide them. Why? Because they are more than 12,500 years old. So it changes the Chinese history. Officially their history is 5,000 years. And then 2,300 years back, the Emperor Qin united 7 provinces into one country. He built the Great Chinese Wall, he started the same currency. So, because of pyramids, you need to change the history in this country. You need to change the history in Egypt, in Cambodia, Indonesia, Australia, Gympie Pyramid, Canary Islands, 104 pyramids, Mauritius, 7 pyramids, 224 Nubian pyramids in the northern Sudan, pyramids in Peru, at least 300 of them, pyramids in Bolivia, Acapena complex, pyramids in the United States of America, 120 Cahokia pyramids in the state of Illinois, 3 Spanish pyramids in the town called Palencia, 16 pyramids on ancient Greek soil before the ancient Greek civilizations. So the world of the past was the world of pyramids. In April of 2005, I'm coming to this nearby town, Visoko, to visit the local museum. And what I saw was this. Yeah. Of course, it caught my attention. Everybody saw the natural hill, but not me. I saw 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. I saw triangular faces. 1, 2, 3, 4. I saw the corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. I saw the same slope from bottom to the top. So, geometrically speaking, this is a pyramid. So I took a compass which showed me that this side is perfectly oriented to the north. The one behind south, east, and west. Mother Nature does not make hills with 4 sides full triangular faces, and perfect orientation, but intelligent hands. Since we, as humanity, have been programmed to think about the pyramids, Egypt, desert, pharaohs, tombs, we could not really understand that pyramids are, number one, artificial structure, geometrical shape of the pyramid, perfect side orientation, and several other elements which I will mention a little bit later. So back in 2005, I got permission as the individual to start preliminary digging, geological core drilling, archaeological trenches, lab analysis. Everything we did, they were telling me anomalies, meaning not natural. I wrote my first book about the discovery. I had a big press conference in the city of Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, and announced to the world that first European pyramids have been discovered. I received about 12,500 mails of support worldwide, but I received resistance from the whole cultural establishment of Bosnia. Archaeologists, geologists, historians, museum curators, they all attacked me. I went to the National Museum asking for the collaboration. They said we never had pharaohs in Bosnia, therefore we cannot have pyramids. I went to the Faculty of Archaeology. They said, oh, we know every square meter of Bosnia. But apparently they were wrong. And they lived in 19th century mindset. So I established non-profit, non-government foundation under the name Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. And that was the first case that one non-government entity started huge, large-scale archaeological project. And let's see what we have found so far. Let's go to the museum. So, 2005-2006, aerial view of the Sun Pyramid. We have started excavation on 17 different places, on all four sides, on different heights. The idea was, once we remove the soil, and if we find the same artificial material, the conclusion will be this is an artificial structure. So we started large excavation here, but on all places. 1 meter below the soil, this is what we were finding. Those rectangular blocks, some of them were square, some were regular shape, but always the blocks like this one here. We took samples and sent them to 7 institutes for materials. Politecnico di Torino in Turin, Italy, Geoculinary Institute in France, Professor Davidovic, Institute for Geology of the Czech Academy of Sciences, in Slovakia, in Bosnia. They all told us this was an artificial concrete. If you have a concrete, then you can determine the quality of concrete based on 2 elements. The first one is hardness. Harder the concrete, more durable, and better the quality. Our concretes in 21st century are on the scale from 10 megapascals to 60 megapascals. We have tested 50 samples, and the hardness was between 73 megapascals and 155. Our technology cannot make such a hard concrete. The best quality concrete our civilization made was when the Burj Khalifa, there's the highest skyscraper in the world in Dubai, when it was built 15 years back. It was 150. 155.
Wow.
The second element for the quality is water absorption. If water can get inside the concrete material during the winter and we have harsh and cold winter, it freezes. And then the ice has a tendency to expand. And then concrete breaks. So the idea is to keep this water absorption very, very low, so the water cannot get inside. Our norms in 21st century up to 3%. This is only 1%. It is superior. The next element is the height. From this point up 220 meters. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, which had been considered the largest, is 146.6. This was much bigger pyramid than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Then the next element, orientation to the cardinal points. I have noticed during my investigations, Chinese pyramids, they are all oriented to the cardinal points, east, west, north, south. Cambodian, Koh-Ker pyramid, perfect orientation. Egyptian pyramids, pyramids in Peru. Some pyramids in Mexico, approximately 20%. Cahokia pyramids in the US, east, west, north, south. The official mainstream science, they don't know why. Independent scientists like Hancock, Sharp, Collins, and the others, they don't know why. They do say, yes, it's a perfect orientation, but why? We are the first one figuring out why. Everything is related to the energy. Our planet is a huge energy ball. When you have energy, you have energy flows. And two strongest energy flows are north-south and east-west. When you build a pyramid, which is four-sided, you perfectly orient it. It initiates movement of the energy within the pyramid. So, the Great Pyramid of Egypt has been considered the most precise oriented pyramid in the world. The error from the perfect cosmic norm, which is geographic norm, not magnetic. Magnetic moves every year, from Canada to Siberia and back, but cosmic is more or less fixed. It changes every 13,000 years. So, the error from the perfect norm, 0 degrees and 3 minutes. 3 minutes is a fraction of 1 degree, it's perfect. The Khafre, or Kefre, the second line, 0 degrees, 3 minutes. Mycere, or Mycerinus, 0 degrees, 18 minutes. Bent pyramid in Dashur, 0 degrees, 12 minutes. My favorite, red pyramid in Dashur, 0 degrees, 5 minutes. So it's a perfect orientation. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, according to the State Institute for Geodesy, has error of 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds, which is the most precise on the planet. So now we are coming to next element that we need to figure out, and that would be the age of the pyramid. We have been applied about 28 radiocarbon and uranium-thorium analysis. They give rather precise dating. Sometimes it's plus minus 10%, especially if you go very deep to the past. So, between the concrete blocks, we discovered the fossilized leaves. How come they got there? Somebody was pouring the concrete blocks, the first row, second row, third row. The wind was blowing, bringing those leaves on the top of the third row, and then they placed the final row of blocks. But those leaves, they are organic material, and you can date them. So we sent them to the radiocarbon dating lab in Kiev, and it produced the date of 29,200 years, plus minus 400 years. This is what's called in science radiocarbon date. In order to get calibrated date, or the real calendar age, you add approximately 14%. So the true age of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is 33,600 years. So now, what do we have? More than 30,000 years. What do they teach us in schools? That everything started with Sumerians. Encyclopedia Britannica 50 years ago was saying Sumerians are about 4,000 years old civilization. Today they claim they are about 7,000 years old civilization. And they said after them, 5,000 years back, we had Babylon, Akkad, Assyria, Hittite, ancient Egypt, ancient India, ancient China. Of course, there are even more older examples. For example, Jericho in today Palestinian territory, 11,500 years. Or Lepenski Vir in Serbia, 11,300 years. This is all part of the last cycle of humanity, which started with the end of the last ice age, which happened sometimes between 11,700 and 13,600 years back. You know, the biblical flood, the huge catastrophes, when 99% of humanity was wiped off from the face of the planet. In history, these periods are called Mesolithic times, 12,500 till 10,000 years back, and Neolithic times, 10,000 up to date. Before that, Paleolithic times. When you say Paleolithic to historians, archaeologists, they will say no civilizations then. So, they learned this, 30,000, they said impossible. Plus, pyramids in Bosnia, impossible. But this is science. You know, out of 28 dating methods, you know, we have most of our dating are really between, let's say, 19,000 and 55,000, but the majority of them around 30,000 years period. So what we have here, the first pyramids in Europe, the biggest on the planet, the best quality concrete on the planet, the most precise orientation to the north on the planet, and now the oldest pyramids on the planet. The beauty of what we do is that everything is measurable. If you can measure, then you can scientifically prove that. Of course, it was just too much for the cultural establishment, and especially for those who write the history. Those who control the past control the present. And they are not small countries, for example, Bosnia, and especially not small non-profit organizations, and especially little people like myself. They are called elites. Number one, English elites. Even today, even though they don't have dominance worldwide. Behind the scene, yes. And with them together, German and American elites. Because you control the past, you control the present and the future. Well, after 5-6 years of our work, once we proved that we have construction complex, we had to move on, find out what was the purpose. The second option was to try to convince the whole world that we had pyramids in Bosnia, but that would be the waste of time. We have had 6 international scientific conferences, 110 experts from different fields confirming that. People who have good intention, they want to find out, there is a lot of material to read and to prove what we are saying. We have to move on, to use some non-conventional methods. One of them is trying to find the elements of the sacred geometry. We have learned that ancients, especially when it comes to the pyramids and megalithic sites, like Stonehenge, Absorption, Karnak in France, Alastair in Sweden, Rujman here in Israel, and so on, that they have been applying the elements of sacred geometry. Such elements are, number one, equilateral triangle. It's a perfect triangle. Hexagon. Number pi, 3.14. Number phi, golden section, number 1.618. So, this is the topographic map of the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. Here is the Bosnian Pyramids of the Sun. Here is the Moon Pyramid. Here, the Dragon Pyramid. When we connect the tops of the Sun and the Moon, the distance between them, 2,180 meters. From the Moon to Dragon, 2,180 meters. From Dragon back to the Sun, 2,180 meters. So this is perfect equilateral triangle with inner angles at 60 degrees. Mother Nature does not make this with four sides, triangular faces, with the perfect orientation, with the best quality concrete, and then lay them out in the shape of the equilateral triangle. It is part of the intelligent design. When you have the elements of sacred geometry, you have movement of the energy. Very early, back in 2007, a friend of ours, unfortunately late, Dr. Harry Oldfield from England. Actually, you can see this report from the He brought a special camera called PIP camera. And that you can see otherwise invisible bioenergy fields. And through that camera you can see bioenergy fields, different colors, and here is the town of Visoko. This is the hotel from Sunca. This is the town of Visoko. You see those different colored fields? They are all horizontal and fixed. And here we are coming to the Bosnian Pyramid, the Sun and the Love Pyramid, number 4. You can see vertical energy lines. You see inside with color, energy is getting accumulated. And then going through the top of the pyramid, hitting those horizontal lines, they become vertical. And there is continuous energy flow through the pyramid. We have, in the meantime, we purchased that machine, and then we have checked many other hills, cities, valleys, natural places, and realized that, for example, this is one pointy hill in Serbia, near Belgrade, Avala, horizontal fields. This is one town in western Serbia, horizontal. This is one pointy hill in Bosnia, horizontal. And this is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, vertical. Vertical from different angles, vertical. 2007, vertical, 2011, vertical, 2015. So it's always vertical, meaning the pyramid has been busy all the time creating those energy fields. This is the Moon Pyramid, vertical, the Moon Pyramid 2011. This is Temple of Mother Earth, vertical. This is the Tumulus in Ratica, vertical. The Love Pyramid, vertical. So all pyramids in the Bosnian Valley of Pyramids are still active. And we are the first one in the world bringing this term into use. Active pyramids. Why are we saying active? In order to find out the purpose of pyramids, we had to bring the real scientists. Archaeology is very interesting, it helps us a lot. But for me, it's not the real science, because in most cases it's the guessing work. For example, they found pieces of ceramic. They said, okay, it belongs to the period from 2200 and 2500, 300-400 years. Geology is even worse. They say, okay, this hill, well, it's between 15 and 25 million years old. So you have like 10 million. Science is when you get the precise date. If you say, okay, this piece of ceramic was made on July 4th, 2343 years ago by this guy, this is precise data. That's science for me. So, what we were doing, we started bringing people with the instruments, scientific instruments, physicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers. This is an example when you use the drone and one of the instruments. This is oscilloscope. Oscilloscope measures electromagnetic field. So you use your oscilloscope, you use its hertz, and then if the results are the same, that's something that can be scientifically proved, right? So we send this drone above the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. We've been measuring actually 7 different aspects. The first one is electromagnetism. The second one is electrical field only. The third one, magnetic field only. The fourth one, ultrasound, verified sound. The fifth one, infrasound. The sixth one, the temperature. And the seventh one is the orgone energy. So, the most interesting results were in the area of the electrical field. We measured that above the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, there is an energy beam going straight up. It starts at 4.5 meter radius, and then it expands to 20, 4.5, 20, 4.5, 20. It's like elliptic. It is 28 kilohertz frequency. It's continuous because we've been measuring it during all 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. In science, this is called Tesla's scalar waves. Tesla, the brilliant mind of Nikola Tesla, because he was the first one, 123 years back, who was investigating subtle, soft energies. And in last 50 years, this phenomenon has been investigated by the Russian physicists. Why? Because scalar waves travel through space quicker than the speed of light. How is that possible? When they taught us in school that the speed in the universe is the speed of light. Albert Einstein hypothesis, the speed of light almost 300,000 kilometers per second. It's a huge speed, really. For example, our planet is 40,000 kilometers around its central part, 40,000. 300,000 meaning speed of light can make 7.5 circles around our planet in 1 second only. But when you send the speed of light to our sun, it takes 7.5 minutes. When you send it to the northern star, 700 years. When you send it to the center of the galaxy, Milky Way, 40,000 years. And when you send it to the center of the universe, when the old guy in the white robe and white bird is sitting, getting very busy creating galaxies and the life throughout the universe, it takes 5 billion years. So now imagine if we want to contact our Creator from here, and we send the message using the speed of light 5 billion years. By the time he or she answers, another 5 billion years. So in 10 billion years, while waiting, our bird will grow very, very, very long.
Yeah. Well, how do you know where the center is?
Oh yeah, there is actually precise information, because the theory that it's expanding,
Yeah.
so our galaxy is at the outskirts. It's not so important. Closer to the center, we are more important. And our galaxy. And our solar system in our galaxy is at the periphery of our galaxy. So we are so unimportant. The life came to existence here very, 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 very late, comparing to some other forms of the lives. So, from the cosmic point of view, the speed of light is actually very slow. And the scalar waves, they transport the energy, they transport the information at least 100 million times quicker than the speed of light.
Wow.
Meaning that the transfer of the information is immediate from one end of the galaxy to another one. So, the first potential purpose of the pyramid energy through the scalar waves was that communication device. That is the first one. Going back to Nikola Tesla, he built famous Wardenclyffe Tower. I don't know if somebody heard about it, in the state of New York. And after the first few experiments, he was writing in his diary, I found a way to transfer the information and energy between two planets, thousands of horsepowers, immediately, regardless of their distance. And the frequency he was using was 28 kilohertz, the same one that we measure on the top of the Sun pyramid. The second purpose of the pyramid as we are getting older, with the gray in our head, we have only one wish: to be healthy with the prolonged life. We have noticed when people enter our tunnels under the Pyramid Valley that they breathe very well. Actually, deeper we go inside the tunnels, we breathe better and better. It is not very logical, but nothing in Bosnia is. People who have trouble breathing, for example, asthma, after one or several visits, they don't need air pumps, inhalators, for several weeks. People who have problem with the high blood pressure, for example, your husband is going on your nerve, so your blood pressure goes up 180 or 120. You go to the tunnels, you come back 120 or 80. People with the high sugar in the blood, it drops for 5-6 points. Here we had a group from Prague, Czech Republic. We had two guys where we measured the sugar glucose in the blood. It was 20 and 22. This was very hard because when it comes to the sugar, 3.2 to 6.2 is normal. 6.2 to 10, risky, above 10, diabetes. So two guys, 20 and 22, it was diabetes level. They entered the tunnel, he dropped, second time he dropped. First guy got 5, second guy about 8. Then we had, for example, this girl, Veronica. She was from Slovakia, and she had the problem with the very low lung capacity. She was using only 47% of her lung, meaning she had trouble breathing. She couldn't do anything, she could not climb the stairs. For 3 years she was trying different therapies, nothing was helping her. She came to the Bosnian Pyramid tunnels for a week, getting inside 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, morning, afternoon. After a week she went back, she got measured, and the lung capacity went up to 84%. And then that September, she came back and she was volunteering with us, pushing the wheelbarrow. We had people with the cancers, tumors, also some really, really serious diseases, and we can sometimes see very spectacular improvement of the health. We always say our foundation, well, we are not in the healing business. We don't give medical guarantees. But what we do, we scientifically measure. And this is what we have measured. The condition in the tunnels is the result of 9 different elements. The first 5 is the absence of any bad radiations. For example, we live on the surface of the planet. If we believe that our planet is sphere. If it is flat Earth, it's different. But if it is sphere, it means we've been exposed to different cosmic radiations. Some of them being very bad to us. Well, they are enemies for our body. You go to the tunnels, 35 meters below the ground level, no harmful cosmic radiations. The second one, natural radioactivity coming from underground. You know, when you have iron plates, radioactivity coming to the surface, and sometimes we walk the streets and we are not even aware that radioactivity is coming and hitting our body. In the tunnels, we use Geiger and Miller counter. We measure the values of the radioactivity. They are 3 times lower than the minimum allowed. No radioactivity, no enemies to our body. Then geopathogenic radiations. You know, when you have underground water streams, it creates negative energy for us. If we have our bed above underground water flow, we're going to get sick in 3, 5, or 10 years. We don't know why, well, that's the reason why. In the tunnels, a lot of underground water flows, but we are finding a lot of those blocks. They are ceramic, artificially made blocks. They are strategically laid out in the tunnels. They neutralize all the negative radiations on the underground. Number 4, cell phones, mobile phones. In Europe, only 2 countries still have 3G. That would be Bosnia and Ukraine. It's mostly 4G and lately 5G. 3G is 2.4 gigahertz, 5G going all the way up to 90 gigahertz. These are radio waves. They are based for the microwaves. Microwaves cause cancers. They are not very good to us. When we talk, if we put the cell phone, the mobile phone on our ear, it burns our brain cells. Well, in the tunnels, you get inside, look at your phone, it says no signal. So we are not surrounded by the bad electromagnetic waves in the tunnels. Number 5, Wi-Fi, internet. We can't live without it, but also, very bad radiations. Inside the tunnels, no Wi-Fi signal. So it's complete absence of 5 very bad radiations that we are exposed to daily. Number 6, the best frequency of electromagnetic field. It's 28 kilohertz, that's the natural frequency. Number 7, the best frequency of the ultrasound. Again, 28 kilohertz. How am I getting this frequency of 28 kilohertz? Well, a lot of quartz crystal in the tunnels, a lot of quartz crystals for the pyramid. Quartz crystal has the ability, when it's exposed to one energy form, in this case electromagnetism, it hits quartz crystal, then there is a process called Piezoelectrical Effect. It transforms one energy into another one, electromagnetism to ultrasound. Also, it can transform mechanical waves to electricity. How do we know that? At home we have our barbecues. Barbecue, how does it work? You press the button, then you can see some, electrical flash, and then you turn on your natural gas, and then of course you have fire. What did you press? You press a piece of quartz crystal. Mechanical pressure, mechanical waves, electricity. In our case, electromagnetism, ultrasound. Frequency of 28 kilohertz in ultrasound is called the levitation frequency. If we were light enough, but real light, let's say like a ping pong ball, then we would start levitating in the tunnels. Since we are not, we simply feel light. Then, number 8 would be very low frequency. It's called ELF, extremely low frequency of 7.83 Hz. In science, it is called the original Schumann resonance. Again, Nikola Tesla, 125 years ago, was saying our planet resonates at about 8 Hz. Austrian von Schumann, 50 years back, he measured it's 7.83. And that was the only resonance of our planet in the last 12,000 years, until 1990. When we started producing so much of the bad electromagnetism, phones, TVs, computers, laptops, satellite antennas, American Project HARP, this bad electromagnetism has to go somewhere. It is going to the ionosphere. around our planet, putting a pressure on our mother planet. And she starts resonating higher, 10 hertz, 12 hertz, 15 hertz. Munich is 15 hertz, Sarajevo 12 hertz. Our brain waves, works at 7.83. So as long as our brain waves, our bodies, are the same frequency as our planet, we live in balance. Once it's disbalanced, what happens? Stress to our body. Tunnels, 7.83. We're going back to the balance. That's number 8. And number 9, negative ions. What are negative ions? These are some extra electrons that join some other atoms or molecules. So, in the air, negative ions, they connect to the dust. They become heavy, they go to the floor, and they clear the atmosphere. Pollen. Now remember the spring and summer, so much allergies because of pollen. Negative ions connect to the pollen and they clear the atmosphere. So they're very good. They raise the level of oxygen in our blood. More oxygen, we can do more stuff. And when we're very high on the mountains, 5,000-6,000 meters above the sea level, you can breathe, you can think, you can do nothing. But when you have much oxygen in your blood, you are very, very productive. And that's the reason why we have so many athletes coming to our place. For example, Novak Djokovic was here 3 times in the last year. And in fact, I think he'll be coming in 2 weeks. It's kind of confidential information. Then Vlade Divac, basketball players, and some others. And finally, negative ions, they neutralize viruses, including corona, bacteria, fungi. How do they neutralize them? Well, because of corona, now everybody knows how the virus looks like. You have this little ball, which is DNA or RNA, and you have this protein, proteins around it, like little sticks. Well, and these little sticks, they consist of amino acid, of hydrogen and carbon. Hydrogen being the binder. So you have negative ions, they always come with the positive ions, they jump on those sticks, and their chemical formula is OH, O being oxygen, H being hydrogen. Oxygen is negative, hydrogen positive. And what they do, since it's very reactive, they pull one atom of hydrogen. Now you're getting OHH or H2O. H2O is
water.
Well, in the tunnels we have high level of humidity at all times, about 84%, because that machine in the tunnels, it works constantly. Outside today maybe 25-30%, inside 84%. Without that atom of hydrogen, without the binder, that stick basically disappears. This little ball, it goes to the floor, virus is neutralized. So the logical way to think is more negative ions, better for our health. No dust, no pollen, no viruses, no microbes. In our homes, 20 to 50 negative ions per cubic centimeter. In our cities, Copenhagen or Sarajevo or Belgrade, about 150. On the top of the mountains, in the forests, pine tree forests, 750 to 1,500. So it's 6 or 10 times healthier than in the city. I didn't say nothing new. Of course it's healthier to be on the mountain than in the city. And in the tunnels, between 20,000 and 60,000. So 50 times healthier than on the top of the mountain. So now imagine that combination of 9 elements, the absence of all bad radiation, the presence of those 4 very good ones, creates the tunnel, creates the environment which is really the safest and the healthiest on the planet. The moment you enter inside, your body cells, for the first time in their life, without the enemies, can start doing their job. And their job is to fix the problems in our body. Somebody has high sugar, somebody has problem with the lungs, somebody has pressure, somebody has tumor, somebody has mental problems, somebody has a problem in one of our 7 energy fields, the first one being auric field, so the regeneration process starts. So that would explain our second purpose, pyramid energy, to protect what is the most precious to us, and that would be our health. And now it all begins to get sense. Instead of making structure with 6 million tons of blocks like Great Pyramid of Egypt for one dead body with so much geometry, math, astronomy, doesn't make sense. But if you build a complex that will serve communities for thousands of years, it does make sense. The purpose number 3 of the pyramid energy. We are finding that in the tunnels now. This is your first occasion. You just got here.
We just got here.
This is your first occasion, all right. In the tunnels, how many times you're going to the tunnels?
A guided tour and a meditation. 2 times.
So the first time it will be like guided tour. The second time, somebody knocking. Okay, come if you want. If you want, you can come. Second time you go a little bit meditation, but if you want to, for example, the health aspect is interesting for you, then you devote your time to your health. It's always good to give support to the body. For example, we have people with lung cancers and stuff like that. So what they would do, they would picture very healthy, lungs, stuff like that. So we need to focus and think only about ourselves when it comes to this health aspect. The third aspect, we are finding tunnels with the water. We found 5 tunnels like that. And then we've analyzed this water, comparing it to our city water. Our city water has no viruses or bacteria because it has been treated with the chlorine. And the chlorine is a poison. It's been treated with the fluorides, and fluorides are poisons. There are traces of heavy metals, poisons. There are traces of nanoparticles of plastic. Of course, water goes through plastic pipes. So the water that we drink is energetically dead. That's city water. Bottled water, it all depends. If you have domestic factories, then it might be good. If you have some of the big corporations, then be aware. For example, I spent 25 years in the US, and when I left the US 15 years back, there was a law in 36 states, and the only producer of the bottled waters who are allowed to sell the water in public places, airports, stations, shopping malls, whatever, were 2 manufacturers, Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. As a matter of fact, since 1990s, it has become their major part of their business. Not the Coke, not the Schweppes, not the top water. And they started exporting their water. In France and UK, their water is forbidden because what they do to our city water, they are, which is already energetically dead and not good for us, they are adding.
It's not city water, it's from your own place.
Yeah, we have in the park, we have water which is good. It's not treated, it's very good. We regularly test it. So they are adding the aluminum. Aluminum is so bad for our brain. It's poisonous. They are adding bromide, they are adding some other stuff. But if you go to countries like Egypt or Pakistan or Malaysia, their water is very good. We sent samples of city water from the town of Visoko to late Dr. Masaru Emoto in Japan. he became very popular from 1999 until the time of his death, 7 years back. What he was doing, he was taking different samples of the water, he would freeze them, -20, and then he would make photos through the electronic microscope. This is the town, the city water. This is from Visoko, but it can be from anywhere, from Sarajevo or Copenhagen. It looks like this. It's deformed, it's low level of energy. And then what he would do, he would take the city water, give it to the Buddhist priest, the monk. And then the monk would say a mantra of love for 1 hour. He would tell water, I love you, I love you, I love you. And he would mean that, not like us Europeans, I love you, ha ha ha. So he meant that. And it really doesn't matter what you're saying as long as your frequency is your frequency of love. And he would notice that the water would change the structure. It would become hexagonal, something like this. Why hexagonal? It's the most powerful geometrical shape when it comes to the energy. Because hexagon consists of 6 equilateral triangles or 6 pyramids. And then he would give it to another guy, let's say European, who would tell water, I hate you, I'm gonna kill you. And the water would make another shape. And he is like the head, the body, 2 legs, and 1 raised, hand trying to, hit the water. And then he would expose the water to the hard rock music, very loud music. And the poor water would make those concentric circles, like being afraid of this music. Then he would take samples from contaminated rivers, chemical factories, city, so on. Then again, very bad molecular structure. And then he would expose it to the Mozart, beautiful cosmic music. And again, the water would change structure, it would become hexagonal again. Conclusion, the water has a memory. They cannot taught us about that in schools, right? But we need completely new science about the water. So we sent the samples of our pyramid water as well, and it was 7, 8 years ago why we could do that, because nowadays the post office does not want to take the water or any liquid and send it internationally to fight against terrorism. So even though it went to the airports and Röntgen and all these bad radiations, still our water kept its hexagonal geometry with beautiful crystal-like structure. The moment you compare this picture and that picture, you can see that it is energetically alive water. It's a happy water, that's how I call it. It vibrates high. What does it mean, it vibrates high? Everything in our life is vibration. When we are jealous, when we are violent, we vibrate very low. And the opposite. When we have love for the whole world, we vibrate very high. When we are in love, those 2 girls, we are on the 7th heaven, right? We vibrate very high. Everything is about the vibration. What affects that vibration? It affects what we drink, what we eat, what we think, where we go. Like nowadays, they are telling you, stay between 4 concrete walls and look this magic box, television. Instead, go to the nature and listening to the birds. And we are, how much we sleep? We don't sleep enough. So, by the way, these are all elements for the immunity. Immunity for me is a big one. So now we can see that the next purpose of the pyramid energy is to improve the most important liquid in our life, and that will be water. Number 4, to improve food. We did an experiment 3 years back with the seeds of beans. We planted seeds. Some of them it was staying at our home. Some of them were exposed to pyramid energy in the tunnels on the top of the pyramid. And we were comparing the growth. The pyramid seeds are growing 2 or even 3 times quicker, richer, healthier. So it affects our DNA. Number 5, we have a machine to measure 4 elements: the auric field, our chakras, their position and how open they are, the stress level, and energy in the cells. More energy, we can fight diseases better. This machine was developed by our friend Professor Konstantin Korokov from University of St. Petersburg, from Russia. He's been coming here very often. And in the last 5 years, we have measured, the other day I got the exact amount, 3,968 people, so 4,000 people, before the tunnels and after the tunnels. So we could compare. In medicine, the significant number of people is 100. So if you do your study on 100 people, it gives you scientific results. 4,000 is science. More than 90% of people, after coming back from the tunnels, the auric field was not discontinued anymore, continued and very strong. Our chakras, instead of being left and right, they are coming back to the balance, they are opening up more. Why is that important? So energy can flow better, it flows better, it affects, among other things, our blood flow. If our blood flows good, every corner of our body, we are healthy. It all makes sense. The stress level was lower and energy in the cells was better. So it affects all these aspects of our life. It affects our immunity. It even affects our spiritual abilities. When we are in the tunnels, we start feeling the energy with our hands. We don't use physical senses. We don't hear, we don't see, we don't smell, we don't taste, we don't touch, but we feel the energy. That's one of the aspects. So it seems that pyramid energy simply affects anything and everything. So these are findings after 15, 16 years, and I think they are pioneering and revolutionary. That's another thing why they don't like it, because Egyptologists, archaeologists, they tend to jealously guard their site, instead of us being the most open project in the world. Well, since this was so non-conventional, the domestic cultural establishment was against us. We were not getting any support, no money from 5 levels of government. Now in Bosnia, small country, 5 levels of government: municipalities, cities, cantonal governments, entities, and finally the state government. They eat about 75% of the budget money. So if you ask the money from them, the chances are you'll never get anything from them. So we had to be creative. One of the ways to get funds for our work was one from the tourism. People come, like you guys, you come, you pay something, you buy tickets, you buy a book, you buy water, you buy stuff like that, so it helps. And volunteering work. Even today, we have volunteers in the Ravne 3 tunnels. So today is Wednesday. So during the next 3 days, you can go and visit Ravne 3 and meet our volunteers. You can even volunteer for 1 day or half day or couple of, so people can feel how they're feeling. And in the last 11 years, we had 3,550 volunteers from 63 countries. And now you are seeing 2 of our volunteers here, coming for a couple of seasons, right?
Yes, we were both volunteers for 2 seasons, and then Ria worked here as well. Yeah.
So, for the first time, a large archaeological project is giving an opportunity to young people and those who feel young in their hearts to become part of a discovery, to discover the oldest concrete blocks, to discover some new prehistoric tunnels, to discover some artifacts, to discover some organic materials and so on. So I think it's something so important for us because international spirit is coming to us. All right, we could talk probably for hours here. I don't want to do that. Are you seeing the stone spheres or no? Yes, no?
I don't
Probably
think, not this time, I don't think this.
These are some of the artifacts, but then in the conference room in the park, we have more artifacts for Ravne tunnels from different time periods. So we'll talk to our archaeologists, Ravne. We can arrange to go and see it. For example, this artifact here, we discovered it in tunnels, and it's not obvious that somebody made it, because you can take it into your hands, it's ergonomic. You can see some symbols here. But we had no idea, because we could not compare it to anything else around us. Until 3 years back, when one German guy came, and then he claimed that he can see the energies, that he can see human auric field. He can see colors of our energies. Then he took this into his hand, and then he said, well, what's happening now, my energy is coming from my body towards this artifact. And then there was a girl from our office at the time, Natasha, he was looking at her, and he saw that her auric field was discontinued. So he pointed this object towards this discontinuing part, and he said, now there is a transfer of the energy towards her. And this is why we named this artifact the energy healing gun. Now that would be rather hard to explain mainstream archaeologists. We found energy healing gun. But in any case, one has to stay open, especially when you find something so old.
It's like an ankh, sorry. It's like an ankh.
No, ankh is different. Ankh is different.
But for the purpose.
It looks like a, well, yes. Ankh, well, since ankh was worn by the gods, not by sons of gods, the pharaohs, not by demigods, but the gods, the first one who came to Egypt. By the way, the first one who came to Egypt were gods. There is a, there is a papyrus, which is the most important artifact for me from Egypt. It's called Turin King List, which is in Turin. It's 5 meters long, and it lists all Egyptian rulers. 3 phases. The third phase, the last phase, is the phase of sons of gods. Egyptian rulers did not call themselves kings or pharaohs, but sons of gods. And we know their names from 5,100 years back. King Menem, he united Upper and Lower Egypt and so on. The first dynasty, second, third. The second phase was the phase of demigods, or semi-gods, or half-gods. And they had rulers that would rule Egypt 200 or 300 years each. And the first phase is the phase of gods, with a small g, gods. And they would rule Egypt 1,000 years each. The first gods, or the kingdom of heaven, ascended to the kingdom of earth 42,600 years ago. And those gods, they had ankh as an instrument in their hands. So much later, the sons of gods would have something which was replica of ankh, thinking it's going to give them immortality. Let's talk about it. All right, now I will let you go. I've been talking too much. What's next? Are you going to the tunnels now?
Yes, yeah, for the...
With some of the guides, or?
Yeah, we have to go and arrange it. Yeah.
Okay. I think we can go. All right, well, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
And,